I come from a very ski-focused family, so when I was born, the big question was, is he gonna be able to ski? I was born in Chile with a disability called fibular hemimelia, which meant that my lower leg wasn't fully developed. And also polysyndactylia on my right hand, which meant that all my fingers but my thumb were together like a mitten. With reconstructive surgeries, we were able to turn my residual limb, which was not a fully functional foot, into a stump that could go inside of a prosthetic and allow me to walk, and essentially reconstruct my hand so that I would have functional fingers. The first time that I saw the Grand Teton, I was about 7 years old. We pulled out in this little viewing area, and I looked up as the clouds were moving away and the Grand Teton was starting to come into sight. That looks like a real mountain. Like that's what the stories like my grandfather has been telling me for years are all about.
There's no easy way up it. Whether it's summertime, wintertime, you have to climb to get to the summit. Getting up to the top of the Grand Teton is 7,000 feet from the valley floor to the summit. Everyone's normal is different for that person, and it's how that normal stacks up with what is required to ski the Grand Teton.
There's very good backcountry skiers that have a disability out there. There's people that are above knee amputees, people that are missing an upper extremity, even blind people are skiing the backcountry. But it's still a small enough number that information and kind of like a support group in a way, like having that community knowledge of how to approach it and how to do it safely, it's still pretty low. For people that have skied with a prosthetic, you know that it's a big problem, not being able to be tied in your boot. But it's really good for backcountry skiing because it allows me freedom of movement. It makes walking with skins a lot more efficient. But I cannot ski like this. I experimented with a lot of things on how to fill the space, either 3D printed, plastic, wood, and even just towels and many other things. And one day when I was stretching after a backcountry touring day, and I was like scratching my head because I need to find something better, I saw my roommate's yoga block and I made shims. Once I get to the top of my climb and I'm ready to ski down, what I do is put this shims inside my ski boot, taking up all that space that the prosthetic has inside of the cap of the ski boot. Things that we added on along the way was a knee brace. A lot of those jerky motions that we experience with bad snow conditions are really hard on knees, especially if you have a short, essentially lever arm. It all goes to your knee. So it's a constant evolving process, and that's a big part of adaptive anything. Adaptive sports are about adapting the sport to you, not you adapting to the sport.
Nice work.
Made it.
Made it. Hi, camp. How'd that feel?
The feeling of not being in control of things, it's kind of what drives me into that spiral. Do everything for my stump to be in good shape, but I can't control it to an extent, so I know how it's gonna feel by the time I summit, and I don't know how I feel about skiing in a little deeper snow. Am I gonna be fine? And
the experiences that stick with me the longest are the ones that inherently have a good deal of uncertainty. And so without that uncertainty, we never really truly have an adventure.
You know, everyone chalks it up for it's type 2 fun. It's no, there's actually real type 1 fun in stretching yourself and seeing what you're actually made of and, kind of pushing to new limits, but having that pursuit of what is my body capable of? What am I capable of?
if I can get myself to the morning, it's gonna go from there.
Cool, let's go to bed and get Sandy tomorrow.
Yeah.
Pretty windy last night. Not too crazy, but you know, a breeze. It wasn't glamping. But we got stars, frost, and a cold stove.
Stuff is feeling good. No hot spots this morning. Once we got in our sleeping bags, it was cold, and then the wind started ripping. And all those thoughts of like, oh, things are going very well, went away, and I started spiraling again into being nervous. I was like, oh, is it too windy? Like, are we gonna be able to do it? Like, what if it's too windy and like we're like getting blown away? And lots of bad thoughts started coming into my head. And Tim mentioned there's 10 different reasons that you can come up with to turn around, but you need to be able to find that one reason, or like that one excuse to tell yourself, yeah, I want to turn around, but you only need one to keep you going. And we kept splitting the day into chunks. I gave myself those kind of finish lines and waypoints, like, okay, if I can make it there, we go from there to the next point, and to the next point.
Santi?
That's an ass kicker. So it's booting.
Oh yeah, man! Woo!
I was scared on that first turn.
You're in no-fall terrain. This is really steep, over a huge cliff.
But I kept telling myself, one turn at a time. Do one turn, get over heels, relax, regroup yourself on another turn. And I started linking turns.
Yeah, man, nice.
Okay, let's do 2 turns in a row, 3 turns in a row. And suddenly we found ourselves skiing some really good snow down the Grand Teton. Suddenly the skiing was done. And then it was on to the more rappelling part of the day. My stump was feeling great, we were tired, we were a little sleepy and hungry, but it was done. We had done the first disabled ski descent on the Grand Teton. It meant a lot that this dream, it came true. When I first got into backcountry skiing, there really wasn't much information out there. With the help of friends and prosthetists, I came up with my own version of backcountry skiing that worked for me. And it was that process of trial and error that really made me fall in love with backcountry skiing. It was all those crashes and all those failures and all those ideas that we thought were gonna work ended up not working at all. That really helped me come up with my own version of the sport and really made me enjoy it. And that's really the big part of adaptive anything, the adaptive process, is coming up with whatever works for you so that you get to enjoy the sport to their fullest. Don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid to fail and fall and come up with your own sport or your own version of a sport that really gets you out there. Don't be afraid to reach out. Our community is growing and growing faster every day. There's people doing amazing things with all kinds of disabilities. And now we can create a community support and feed off each other and come up with ideas. Because at the end of the day, if it works for you and it gets you out there, that's all that matters. My stump was very tired. My muscles were very tired. I was mentally exhausted. But it was done. And the cherry on top was that it was actually my 24th birthday.